after 8 years of this Liberal NDP government, farmers and consumers know that this Prime Minister is not worth the cost. Increasing the carbon tax only increases the cost of goods in stores, and for those farmers that cannot pass on the exorbitant carbon tax, it destroys their bottom line. Will the Liberals reject the Senate's amendments and restore Bill C-234 to its original state, removing the carbon tax on farmers and lowering the price of food for Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Conservatives love to talk the talk with farmers, but when it comes time for action, they're always missing inaction. Every time they were in power, they slashed the funding for farmers, something they don't like to talk about. They slashed $200 million for farmers, money that was directed to farmers. On this side of the House, we added 25% more dollars in our agreement with province, money that's going directly to farmers. And as the honourable member knows, there's a partial rebate available for the issue that he's raised.
The honourable member for Red Deer Mountain View.
Well, Madam Speaker, these ministers must do a lot more than just mouth Greta's catchphrases. Grain commodity prices have dropped 20 to 40% in the last few months. Localized drought and flooding always takes its toll, but the price drop is because prairie farmers have had one of the best yielding crops ever. But there's no more profit. Suppliers, banks, and governments are the only winners. Quadrupling the carbon tax on farmers' inputs will be devastating. Will the Liberals stop playing games and give farmers the break they need?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, we're not playing games, and I wish you'd stop misinforming this House. Obviously, farmers have faced droughts. We get that. We understand. Why? Because of climate change. 21% of grains in 2021 didn't make it to the market. And there's programs in place like agri-stability. I hope the member is lobbying extremely hard to the member of the official opposition to make him understand that slashing agri-stability while he was at the cabinet table was not a good issue for farmers. It was not a good policy for farmers. On this side of the House, we're supporting farmers. We're putting more money in their pockets, and we're making sure that programs, when they face droughts, are available for them.
The honourable member for Portage-Lisgar.
Madam Speaker, it's common sense. When you tax farmers for having to dry their grain or heat their barn, you're making it much more expensive to produce the food we all eat. Jim, a poultry farmer from my riding, is paying $5,000 a month in carbon taxes to heat his barn. This Prime Minister always thinks he knows best. He thinks that food just teleports to grocery stores, that it magically appears on plates, and he even thinks he can run Jim's farm better than he can. How much more does he suggest Jim should be paying to heat his barn when it's 40 below?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, I'm always happy to rise to answer a question on farming, especially I'm glad the member raises supply management. Our government has supported supply management throughout its mandate. For 8 years, we have supported supply management. $4.5 billion are available for supply managed farmers. And obviously, the member raises an important question. We understand that climate change has a huge impact on the availability of land and the crops. It has a huge impact on the profitability of farmers. We just hope that the member can lobby his leader of the official opposition to make sure that he doesn't slash budgets that are available for
the honourable member for Portage-Lisgar.
I wish we could spread answers like that on farmers' fields so that at least they could benefit from some of that fertilizer. This NDP-Liberal government is costing Canadians through high food prices, once again showing how out of touch they are. Not only did the radical Environment Minister admit to pressuring senators to gut Bill C-234, but farmers are getting another carbon tax on April 1st. After 8 years, this Prime Minister has proven that he is most certainly not worth the cost. Will the Liberals reject the Senate's amendments and completely remove the carbon tax from farmers to lower food prices for Canadians?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
The member is an associate member of the Finance Committee. Yesterday, the Governor of the Bank of Canada appeared there, Madam Speaker, and made clear that carbon pricing is not a fundamental factor in inflation. But you know what is important, Madam Speaker? What is important is the fact that we have to get behind the idea of competition. This government has put forward a measure that would advance competition in the grocery sector, and we know why they don't support it. Their chief advisors on the side of Loblaws, that party's in the pocket of Loblaws, they're in the pocket of Walmart, it seems. Their deputy leader has been a lobbyist for them. They don't believe in competition in the grocery sector. They don't believe in Canadians, Madam Speaker.
Honourable member for Yellowhead.
Madam Speaker, Bill C-234 is back in the House after Liberal-appointed senators stalled and gutted this crucial legislation. This bill is vital for exempting farmers from the carbon tax and would ease the high cost of Canadian food. But as the carbon tax is set to quadruple, farmers will pay $1 billion by 2030 and will push food prices even higher. Will the Liberals scrap the Senate amendments, remove the carbon tax from agriculture, and make food more affordable for everyone?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, we know that farmers actually see the brunt of climate change and natural disasters day to day. And that is what is increasing food prices when we see how they are being impacted by natural disasters. We are actually taking action to fight climate change and at the same time support farmers. In each instance where we were supporting farmers in the last votes, the Conservatives voted against. They voted against $25 million going to Fort McMurray Cold Lake to support agricultural workers in that field. Why are they standing against supporting farmers to fight climate change?
The Honourable Member for Yellowhead.
With an answer like that, I'm not surprised Canadians can't afford food in a country where 2 million citizens are relying on food banks monthly. It's baffling to see the NDP-Liberal coalition push to quadruple the carbon tax. When you tax the farmer that grows the food and the trucker who delivers the food, Canadians are stuck with higher food prices. Bill C-234 in its original form promises immediate relief. Will the Liberals discard the Senate's alterations, lift this tax burden, and help Canadians afford their groceries already?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, the first thing that the Conservatives did when the last time they formed government was to get rid of childcare right across our country. That impacts affordability. We have a national childcare program that's reducing the cost of childcare to $10 a day. They were sending $100 checks to millionaires. We brought in Canada Child Benefit that gives up to $619 a month to the people who need it the most. In each instance, we're there to support families to put food on the table. They are not.